Today we're going to be focusing on target 4.4, point slope form. So let's talk about a few facts about point slope form. The point slope form of a line is a special form that tells you the slope of a line and one point on the line. And it has this format. Y minus y1 is equal to n times x minus x1. N is still the slope, just like we used before. x1 and y1 are actual numbers on the line. So they will actually be numbers in this format. X and y are just placeholders. So we're going to use those for comparison. The next two bullet points right here are telling you where point slope form comes from. I'm more concerned about this idea. When you substitute the values of the specific point x1, y1 into the point slope form, you will obtain a true statement of 0 equals 0. That proves that x1, y1 is a point on the line. So let's take a look at an example of that. For this equation, y minus 7 equals 3/4 times x minus 2. The particular point is 2, 7. The x-coordinate of this point is 2, which is going to be considered x1. And the y-coordinate of this point is 7, which is considered to be y1. The line has a slope of 3/4. So I want to verify that 2, 7 is a solution to the equation. So we're going to evaluate the equation when x equals 2 and y equals 7. So if I have 7 minus 7 equals 3/4 times 2 minus 2. 7 minus 7 is 0. 2 minus 2 is also 0. 3/4 times 0, I do get 0 equals 0. So we've proven that 2, 7 is on the line. I want to try a couple other examples of this. So I'm going to look at the point 10, 13. Let's check to see if this is also on the line. So I'm going to plug in 13 for y, so 13 minus 7 equals 3/4 times 10 minus 2. 13 minus 7 is 6. 10 minus 2 gives me 8. When I multiply that by 3/4, I'm going to get 2 here, and this cancels to 1. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 equals 6, so that means that's true. Try one more, which is going to be 6, 8. So I plug in 8 minus 7 is equal to 3/4 times 6 minus 2. 8 minus 7 is 1. 6 minus 2 is going to give me 4. 4 times 3/4, the 4s are going to cancel each other out, so I'm left with 1 equals 3. That is not true. So therefore 6, 8 is not a point on this line. When graphing in our point slope form, just like your igniter, we can plot our point anywhere we want and then use the slope. So for this example, we're going to find our key point. Our particular point in this case is based on these two values. That point is going to be 1, 3. We take the opposite of the -1 and the opposite of -3. I'm going to plot that point at 1, 3 right here. And now I can apply the slope, which is 2/5. My options are to go up 2, and then to the right, 5. Down 2, left 5. I do not need to start at the y-intercept. This one works fine. Let's also verify that 1, 3 is indeed on there. So if I do this, I'm going to have 3 minus 3 equals 2/5 times 1 minus 1. So 3 minus 3 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. Multiply these out, I get 0 equals 0. So we have proven that 1, 3 is on the line. I'm going to let you do the other examples on your own for B, C, and D. I am going to give you a hint and tell you what the particular points are. When I look at B, because of these two spots, my particular starting point is going to be 2, 8. For C, I'm subtracting a -5. So this actually is the same as y minus 2 equals 4/5 times x plus 5. So again, my particular point is going to be the opposite of these values. So I'm going to start this at -5, 2. And for part D, I'm already positives. So plus 2 and plus 6. So my starting point is -2, -6. Let's look at writing equations in point-slope form. So for this example, I'm given a point and the slope. That's all I need to write this form. So here, x1, y1 are 2 and 6, and my slope is -2/7. So when I plug it into point-slope form, y minus 6 is equal to a -2/7 times x minus 2. For part B, same concept, but now instead of telling you the slope, I'm telling you it is parallel to this line. The important piece of information is that the slope is 9. So I'm going to set it up the same exact way. Y minus 0, which I don't have to write, but I'm just going to put in there so you can see where it goes, is equal to 9 times x minus 3. There it is. There's my point-slope form. For option C, I now want to do perpendicular. So if you remember, to be a perpendicular line, the slope has to be the opposite reciprocal. So my perpendicular slope is equal to a positive 5/8. So it's passing through 0, 4. So it's y minus 4 is equal to a positive 5 minus 5/8. I'm sorry. No, 5/8 times x minus 0. And again, I do not need to write x minus 0, but I'm going to show you so you can see the placeholder. And for the last one, for D, I'm giving you the slope, so y minus 2 is equal to 0 times x minus 3. However, when I multiply 0 times x minus 3, that just equals 0. So y minus 2 equals 0. Add that over and I get y equals 2. So we have a horizontal line in this case. For this next example, I'm only going to give you 2 points. But just like before, you need to know the slope. So first thing we're going to do is find the slope using our slope formula. So 7 minus 8 divided by -2 minus 5. 7 minus 8 is -1. -2 minus 5 is a -7. Negative divided by negative gives me a positive 1/7. So I have 2 options for my point-slope form. It does not matter since both points are on the graph. So I'm going to start with option 1. Y minus 8 is equal to 1/7 times x minus 5. If I use the other point, option 2, I'm going to just do y minus 7 equals 1/7 times x minus a -2 means that's going to turn into plus 2. I'm going to leave you to do part B on your own. The last thing we want to talk about is how do we transform our function in point-slope form into slope-intercept form. So first of all, I want to sketch the graph. Just like before, these values give me my particular point. That point is 3, 2. My slope is 4/1. So if I start at the point 3, 2, right here, I'm going to apply the slope. I'm going to take it down and to the left so that you can see where the graph crosses the y-intercept. So 1, 2, 3, 4, left 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, left 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, and left 1. As you can see, this graph crosses at 0, -10. So now I want to take my point-slope form. I'm going to transform it into slope-intercept form by applying the distributive property on the right side and solving for y. So we start with y minus 2 is equal to 4 times x minus 3. Distribute the 4 so I get y minus 2 is equal to 4x minus 12. Add 2 to both sides. Y is equal to 4x minus 10. According to my slope-intercept form, my slope is 4/1, and my y-intercept is 0, -10. That confirms it is the same exact thing as our point-slope form, since that has the same y-intercept. I'm going to leave you to do the last example on your own. If you have questions, please come find me to ask me for any help that you may need. Thank you. Have a nice day.